Good morning to everyone. I don't see a lot of people, but I think we can manage with this one. All right, so my name is Abhishek Kumar, and I'll be the moderator of this lovely panel. And I'm the founder of Digital Alchemist Labs, and we are an AI-first software company. We are based in India and Europe. We build smart modular LMS, which is learning management systems for institutes, coaches, teachers, schools, universities, and so on. We make sure that we first identify the learning objectives and the business operations. We only implement the modularity and the agentic workflows that you actually need, not just any extra features. We also run boot camps on AI-powered full-stack development for freshers and junior developers. So I'll talk more about it in the tomorrow's session that we have at the same time here. Let's get to the topic for today's discussion. So the topic is internships, apprenticeships, and beyond, and building the seamless pathways between universities and workplace. So my take in this topic is that degrees does matter, but the real confidence comes when students build things and they solve the real world problems with the help of mentors and get the feedback from the industry. So internships, apprenticeships, and the project-based work are the bridge. So now I will go around the panel members, give a small introduction, and then we can open the floor for questions. So first we have Mrs. Rita Sana. She is the founder of Rita Sana Coaching and Consulting and Executive Leadership and Team Coach, Facilitator, and the Speaker. She brings a unique blend of global corporate leadership experience and evidence-based coaching practice. As a former director of operations for major international design and engineering firms, she has led multidisciplinary teams, complex projects, and strategic initiatives across the continents. Today, Rita partners with ambitious individuals, renowned institutions, and forward-thinking organizations to strengthen leadership, effectiveness, develop human capabilities, and build environments where people and performance thrives. Great. Next we have Dr. Malik here. So Dr. Malik, he brings a rare blend of industry, leadership, and academic insight. After consulting for some of the world's leading brands, he now lectures in business at Monash University in Australia. We had a really nice discussion yesterday, and he definitely brings a lot of experience from both the corporate world and the academia. Next, we have Mr. Sanjay Tiwari. Mr. Tiwari has worked in transportations and logistic industry across Northern Europe, Southeast Asia, the United States, and India for over 30 years now. He has leadership experience in trading, distribution, transportation, financial services, and education. Mr. Tiwari is the co-founder and CEO of 21cc Education. It's an innovative edtech company that operates the skilling and job placement app. The mission is to provide the skills that the frontline workers need to do their job well. Mr. Tiwari is also the founding director of FEBI, the Federation of European Business in India. He's been married to Mrs. Kumar Swahe for 33 years now and has 2 daughters. Next, we have Nitin Pawar. So Dr. Nitin is the CEO and co-founder of Tenderbuds Capital Advisory. It's a fintech marketplace focused on education finance for girls. With 27 plus years in India's education sector like ZLearn, Manipal, NIMIMS, and Soumya, he's known for building corporate partnerships, launching new education products, and creating revenue streams and programs. He also heads an education trust that runs schools and colleges across the state of Maharashtra in India. Finally, we have Mr. Gladwin Victor. Mr. Victor is the Vice President, Strategic Project Head, Quality Assurance, and Center Head in UAE. He is the member of Big Education Group, and we will have a great discussion on the topic today. So I will first ask one question from each of the panel members, and then we can start with the questions with the audience. All right, we can start with Mrs. Rita. So I have some interesting question for Mrs. Rita Sana. So you lead the global teams and work to develop leaders across the industries. What challenges do you see moving from universities to the workplace?
Good morning, everyone. Obviously, thank you for being here. So I think in my experience, I was the operation director of some of the largest engineering and design firms globally. And as mentioned, today I partner with individuals, organizations, and institutions. I noticed that there is one thing that is clear. The knowledge gap is not a problem. It's the human capability gap that is a challenge today. Students come out from uni, training institutions, with a very, very strong technical background. But when things start becoming unclear, when there are changes, their confidence drops. And this is not because they lack any sort of intelligence, but because they find it very difficult to deal with that discomfort, with the unknown, to treat feedback often as information rather than judgment. And what I've seen is that other individuals, maybe even with less polished profiles, instead they thrive. They remain very curious. They ask questions. They develop networks. And that helps them a lot. In my career, I have interviewed hundreds of individuals for very different roles and level of seniority as well. And I've always asked this question. When was the last time that you went out of your comfort zone, and what did you learn from it? It was interesting to hear responses and how often people get like almost frozen, like, what is this question? But what I've noticed is that today, in a fast-changing world, and especially with AI that is accelerating things so fast, knowledge is no longer the only differentiator. The knowledge is what I call the human capability advantage. It's the ability to remain curious, to stay open, to navigate uncertainty, which is what the world today demands, from new graduates start there, all the way to executives. So I think that's where we have an amazing opportunity today to develop those human capabilities early in school, in university, so that when students and graduates, they leave their own education program, they're ready to contribute from day one. And they have an advantage that often even senior leaders don't have, which is their mindset. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the insightful discussion you just gave. I actually had a discussion with her yesterday, and she gave me really nice insights on our business processes, so I'll keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Next, we have Dr. Malik. I have a question for you. So given your unique experience moving between corporate consulting and academia, what do you see as the biggest gap between universities and the industry when it comes to preparing students for the real world work, and how can we close it?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for being here for the first session of the day. So I think I'll build a bit on what Ms. Rita Sana has said. I think universities strive for structures, strives for equitability, and strives for predictable outcomes. It teaches students courses in a very set format. Industries are complex, ambiguous, and fast-changing. So when students join industry, they are expected to work in collaboration in a complex environment. However, their learning experience tends to be very predictable. They are all taught the same thing. They are all assessed on the same thing. And I think that's where the gap exists. It is the structure versus the complexity. It is the clarity versus the ambiguity. It is the slow-paced 12-week semester compared to a fast-changing environment in the industry. And to close that gap, I think what is imperative is to provide industry-based problems, real-based problems from the day one in university instead of providing them as an add-on in the final year. Providing them with live briefs, real industry problems, and opportunities to engage with industry from the very early on. If this is done successfully, I believe the pathways from industry, from the universities to industry will become seamless. More importantly, it will prepare students with knowledge, adaptability, and confidence. And I think that's the real bridge.
Thank you so much. I think you clearly identified the problem and also gave a solution for that. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Next, we have Dr. Nitin Pawar. The question I have for you is, Dr. Pawar, you have been into the industry academia partnership for very long. What, according to you, makes it a successful model?
Yeah. So good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here discussing a topic which is at the center and heart of India's growth story, bridging the gap between universities and the world of work. Now, I'll be speaking more from India perspective because I worked most of my career in India. India produces millions of graduates, but many research reports have shown that almost half of them are not matching the skills as expected by the industry. So it's not about talent. It's about the relevant, the exposure, and the application of knowledge. India has a large youth population, almost 65% below the age of 35. Still the challenge of unemployability is persistent. Now, what really matters is now government has taken a lot of initiatives to promote skill enhancement with launch of the National Education Policy of 2020, which has launched degree programs embedded with internships or apprenticeship, which will be the future for India's growth story. Now, coming back to the question, I have been fortunate to launch multiple education programs in India. Most specifically or prominent was with one of the largest private bank of India, ICICI, if I may name, with one of the large education groups. We launched a program called PG Diploma in Banking and Finance way back in 2010. A very unique program then, maybe one of its kind first. Large number of people, students, maybe around 10,000 were trained every year on that program. The good part, a portion of that education was with the bank itself, in the industry itself. So students and the bank rolled out loans to them. The fees was paid by taken care by banks. And at the end of the course, there was an assured job. So the outcome was definite. It was a success for everyone. Students from not very privileged background could enroll in the program because the bank was rolling the fees. Now, what led to that success of such program is the definite outcome of the course or the program. What students usually expect is what is there for me at the end of the course. So when we are sure that the curriculum is good, there is a brand, there is an organization supporting it, and after doing a particular program, there is a definite outcome that I'm going to get a good job at the end of the course, which is recognized by everyone, I'll be happy. That program is very successful, and it's running even now. And there are multiple such programs which we have partnered with industry and works. So That's my take on that, Abhishek. I mean, and that's what works, basically.
Yeah, I think that's clearly defined. So basically, if the outcome is clear, then we have a better chances for bridging the gap between academia and the industry. That's pretty good. Next, I have a question for Mr. Sanjay Tiwari. Mr. Tiwari, given your business experience across the globe, and now for past several years in edtech and skill development, are we as a society geared towards matching the massive number of job seekers to the rapidly evolving job market?
Thanks, Abhishek. I think, I'd like to reference what the previous speakers have said. I mean, both Ms. Sana and Dr. Maulik were talking about the mindset, that's needed to unlock people's inquisitiveness and their ability to, or their willingness to get into new jobs. And I think that's super important. That holds true, I agree with you, throughout life, et cetera. I think this example that Dr. Nitin was just talking about of having industry-based partnerships, super valuable, and in fact, my company's involved in one such project in India. But what concerns me a little bit about the deliberations today, and even in everything we heard yesterday, is I don't think we're understanding the scale of the challenge in front of us. When we talk about 10,000 people in India, it's laudable, it's fantastic, but you're talking about tens of millions of young people that need to be gotten into a job every single year, right? Tens of millions. The population of Nigeria by 2030 is going to be around 260, 270 million. By 2050, it's projected to be around 375 million. 50% of those are going to be people under the age of 30. What are we doing to scale and get them into jobs, into programs? So everything that we talk about, especially in a very rarefied atmosphere such as this, with nice canapes outside, we're focusing on a few hundred people that need to get skilled, a few thousand people. What are we doing to skill tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people? That's the big thing. So all of these behavioral traits that we need to, imbibe in people or get them to absorb, absolutely valuable. But I don't think many of our programs in South Asia, in West Africa, and East Africa are fit for purpose. And spoiler alert, those are going to be our workers for the next 20 to 30 to 40 years. You can hold them off and say, sorry, we don't need migrants. We do need migrants. I'm part of conferences in India, panel discussions such as these, been to 2 of them, where European ambassadors sit on a stage such as this, the Italian ambassador, the German ambassador, and the Japanese ambassador, not European, saying, this is how many hundreds of thousands of migrants we need into our country year on year on year to fill in the gap that we have, in terms of in Italy, specific locations where the Italian ambassador says, I need 50,000 people there. What are we doing to skill these people in South Asia and in Nigeria and in East Africa to start performing those jobs? Because that's what's going to be needed at scale. And that's where I think these industry, academic partnerships, everything we've said is true, but we need to drive them at scale. And if I look at some of the programs in India, some of the government colleges where we are now privileged to be involved, it's humbling to be in touch with these lecturers, their passion for teaching their students, but it's embarrassing to see how poor the resources are that they're given to perform their jobs day after day, So no, I don't think we're fit for purpose. Sorry, long answer to your question.
That's totally fine because you outlined the problem we have as a society, so we might as well look for the answers, but it makes sense to understand the questions and the problems we have as a society. Great. Mr. Gladwin Victor, I have a question for you. We didn't get a chance to interact much, but I have a question that clearly goes with your background. So what skills and structures should we add around internships and apprenticeships? For example, mentoring, reflection, maybe assessment. So the learning from work is captured and not lost.
Right. Hi, good morning, everyone. Before I answer your question and I come back to that, let's take a step back to understand that internship or apprenticeship as a model is not something which is very newly coined. It has been there in existence for all this while. But the reason why people like us have to sit and discuss about this is because it's a tri-party agreement which happens between the industry, the student, and the university, where for the first time, all three parties come into that agreement with different outcomes and expectations in mind. And there's no sync and harmony in that first level agreement in terms of what does a student expect, what a university wants, and what the industry is expecting out of this entire engagement and arrangement. Where the student's expectation is, what is that new skill that I'm going to learn? The university thinks of it that what is that the student will bring as an outcome which I can give a credit and assign it towards his scores so that his academics is completed, right? The industry thinks from a perspective that, okay, I have here in front of me a person, an individual who I could maybe assess whether he or she is culturally fit for my future engagement. So with such vivid and different expectations, when you enter into an arrangement, it is bound to not get the right outcome because everybody's running in different directions. So how do we make all of this align better? That's where structure comes into place, and that is where structure is very important, where there has to be a common goal that everybody's driving. And I believe this does not fall in the kitty of the industry. The universities have to drive this. They have to be very specific and meticulous that for this learner with this level of understanding and background, this is what we expect him or her to learn or to experience or be part of certain skill sets in the industry. And that then has to be coupled with the right format of assessments. You cannot have one size fit for all kind of assessment where a student is working on project management skills and projects and has been given the same metrics for a person or for a student who is interning in an HR department. You understand? So different roles will require different metrics of assessments, which is too cumbersome for the universities to look at it, because now if I send a batch of 30 odd students out in the industry, I cannot have 30 different formats of assessments. So what do? I find the most common platform of assessment which generically touches upon every individual so that it's easy for me to score and pass on a generic credit against what? The performance. Yes, please.
Can I just permission
Sure.
to interject? Because I agree with you that universities have a standardized approach, but I disagree with the statement that universities cannot provide a tailored and focused approach, because I think that's where technology comes in today. Today, with the use of AI, you can actually personalize assessments, personalize content delivery, taking into account somebody's gender, somebody's region, somebody's age, somebody's skill sets, et cetera. So, I mean, the point is that we haven't done it so far, but the ability to do it does exist today, actually. Would you agree?
Yes, that's where I was coming to, that while it's not been done till date, there are a lot of scopes and opportunities in today's day and age where we can have structured assessments, where we could have assessment that links to the performance of the student and links to the tasks or the projects that the student is performing, right? Yes, please.
Sure, Dr. Polik, you can respond to that.
I'd like to make a point on, Mr. Tiwari's and Gladwin's points. I think answering or going back to the point that you made about the scale at which we need to address the challenges, that in itself poses a challenge. When you do anything at scale, you can't make it bespoke. Universities often tend to operate with structures which are at scale. So if I give an example of my university, I come from Australia's largest university. Some of our units have 1,000+ students, not 30 or 40 or hundreds. They have thousands of students that go out in the market. I think we also need to understand that what is the role of a university? University is not a vocational education. This is not a place where you go to learn hard skills like plumbing, bricklaying, or welding. Universities are a place where you prepare the future workforce to develop skills which are still hard or less likely possible to be developed by AI, skills such as critical thinking, skills such as collaboration, teamwork, ethical decision-making. These are some of the skills that universities help develop. And it also helps students not only to what to think, but how to question, how to analyze, how to interpret, how to make decisions. So the role of universities is different to a vocational institute. We have to be clear about that. Second, universities prepare what I call generalized experts. However, what industries need is specialized expert. That gap must be filled partly by the industry coming forward and partly by universities going forward, meeting in a halfway and developing those skill set which helps them develop specialized expertise. So I think getting a clarity of what the role of the university is more important besides just looking at it as a place where people get trained and get onto the production line the next day.
Do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, no, so
Great.
I politely disagree. I mean, everything you said about critical thinking, agree, right? That's obviously a big purpose of universities, and especially in the European context. I went to university in the Netherlands, and so you at least we thought we were being taught a degree of critical thinking. I can also tell you employers need to deprogram you for the first year that you actually get into work to say, so what is Sanjay actually capable of? The way my employer dealt with it is the day I walked in what I thought was a fairly nice suit. They said, it's a nice suit. Feel free to hang it up here. They put me into an overall, and for 1 month I was in the warehouse, lifting steel pipes, etc. That's part of the deprogramming that they engage in. But I still disagree that I think there's an evolution of a more hybrid form of higher education, which is being experimented now in India, and my company is part of it, to teach the students both the critical thinking that you were talking about, which is really lagging, and also some of the hard skills. So in logistics, this is what you're going to need. In e-commerce, this is what you're going to need. In banking, this is what you're going to need. Because saying industry needs to step forward is, it's a nice intent. Otherwise, industry needs to do that 6-month program afterwards. That's a difficult bit in it. So I think universities, colleges can do a better job of making people more employable to say, this is what you're going to need on day one, Yeah,
and I don't disagree with that. I think the challenge is that every job is different. No two jobs are the same. What you study at the university tends to be the same for every student. So what university's role is to develop a youth that is able to go out and quickly learn and adapt based on how they have been trained in terms of critical thinking, in terms of learning abilities and capabilities that Ms. Sana was talking about earlier. Speaking on behalf of, I think, everyone here in the room, most of us who would have studied a degree but probably are not doing exactly what we were taught at the university, and that tends to be a reality. So there is an element of on-job training which industries cannot just say, oh, we don't have a youth that is skilled or trained. That is a part of the business that the industry has to do. So I think, yes, their scale is important, and there is also the element of the thinking and capability that comes with it.
Yeah, I think that's beautifully summarized. And interestingly, Mr. Tiwari and I come from the same university. Yeah, but different years.
Not just different years, but I could pronounce the name of the university and you can't. That's right?
I can
because
try.
It's in the north of the Netherlands. Let's hear you say it. Where did you go to university?
University of Groningen.
Okay, pretty close, pretty close, yeah. So the Dutch words have a way of clearing the phlegm in your throat. Yeah.
They taught us how to say the name of the city for the first day, so it stayed with me. Great. So anyone has any questions so far? Yeah, please. Do we have mics among the audience? Yeah, great. Go on.
Yes, Ray Gapos from the Philippines. I am particularly drawn to what Ms. Rita shared about the human capability requirement for college graduates. I am an advocate of a constructivist and constructionist learning environment, and the basic tenet of that learning environment is to teach learners early on how to create artifacts, physical artifacts, through a flipped classroom approach. Now, my question is, what skills do you expect universities, whether these are soft or hard skills, that need to be integrated into a constructivist learning environment such that they become more adept at what the corporate world expects the learners to be once they're already in the workplace?
Thank you for your question. I want to start making a point on something that is very dear to me, and I share this a lot with institutions that I partner with, as well as leaders, organizations, C-levels. We call it soft skills and hard skills. But in my experience, personally and with leaders, the soft skills are the hardest to master. So I think we call it soft, that's easy, but actually they're really challenging. And ultimately, they determine your success in your career and in your life often, way beyond your technical capabilities. We need to consider that we are in an environment today where the level of uncertainty and the level of disagreement has never been experienced before. Like we operate in a space where we've never done it before. Think about AI. Think about what happened with COVID. So those are not challenges that we can solve by simply throwing technical solutions at them, like business as usual. They require a different way of approaching. So there are different skills, and there are universities that are implementing this. The first thing is the mindset that you have and that you display when you face a challenge. So students need to learn that the discomfort that you experience when you face something new or uncertain is a sign of growth. It's not because you're not good enough or you don't know enough. It's actually a sign, that stretch, it's a sign that you're growing. And often what happens is that students, but again, not only leaders, I work with senior leaders, when they find themselves in discomfort, their confidence really drops. And they start questioning themselves like, am I good enough? But actually, that's normal. Okay, good. What am I learning? And the best leaders and the best universities ask these type of questions, reflective, and which is something that I always bring in my programs and initiatives, reflective practices. What can I learn from this? What is it, this discomfort trying to teach me, for example? Another very important thing is the ability to seek and deal with feedback. I was yesterday in a lot of sessions at the executive conference, and this is one of the greatest challenges for senior leaders, for professors as well, to give feedback and to receive feedback as well. And students struggle with the same way. They take it as judgment. And again, I want to make a distinction by language. We call it negative feedback. Oh, I got a negative feedback from my manager, from my professor. Negative feedback? Feedback is always a gift, because it's much easier to stay quiet, right? You don't say anything. It's easier. So whenever someone raises a point, it's always a feedback. It doesn't mean we need to change, we need to act, especially if we don't agree with it. But it's always our responsibility to process things and say, okay, let me think about it. Yeah? And then deciding whether it's valuable or not valuable, whether you want to do something or not. Now, often students, and I've been in senior position where I hire hundreds of people, you give a feedback, someone resigns. But they don't resign because they have another job. It's too much for them to deal with. So imagine how big of a challenge we have in front of us when these capabilities are not there. And last but not least, to stay curious. Often people think that they graduate, they finish university, they do their program, done. Well, it's actually the start of it. Because you learn a lot of technical competencies, you learn a lot about like teamwork and other activities in uni, but you need to constantly learn to be able to thrive in an environment like where we have today. So I think those are some of the key things. There could be more, but I hope I answer your question.
Yeah, thank you very much. And in a nutshell, I think it's about teaching the learners the mindset through frameworks.
Absolutely.
So that they will have something to base on their decisions as they adjust in corporate life.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
and
much.
for me, it also has
Also-
to be really interactive. My programs that I design are very interactive. People do sessions, do experiences, and immediately they can apply what they learn in the next day, immediately. Because it's not about a PowerPoint or something that people just listen for a couple of hours, thank you very much, business as usual. No, you need to be able to translate those insights into action immediately so that you can start seeing the change. Awareness plus action equals change.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just to add to the question, see the core skill which the industry needs, as pointed out by Mr. Sanjeev, is something that the learner or the student, when he gets on the job, will pick it up at the industry. But what the industry expects when somebody is passing out and entering into the industry is they're thorough with the basics and the fundamentals in the sector where they're working. You cannot be an accounting student and be confused between what would be a creditor and a debitor when you sit across checking a balance sheet. You cannot have that confusion. So what is imperative is that when students are passing out and coming out from the industry, they have complete understanding of the fundamentals that is needed within their sectors. The nuances of the industry is something that they will pick up while they are on the job. And as added by my fellow panelist here, is the ability to be the sounding board where you take feedbacks, where you take whatever is being given to you and work over it and come out the next day better polished, better, shining out. So I think that is the balance which needs to be maintained.
I just want to add one thing to what you say. I totally agree with you in terms of like technical competencies and not being confused and have the foundation. And that's very important. But I think on the other side, one key element that makes someone really thrive in today's work environment is the mindset of being from knowing it all, which is like one of the extreme, moving more to what we call it learning it all, which is what the CEO of Microsoft that's implemented, Satya Nadella, when he took over the business. The business was thinking, why is Microsoft? Well, because the mindset was like, we know everything. We know. And so that prevented them from innovating, from growing, from expanding, from asking questions, because they thought, oh, we know everything. We're Microsoft. And that changed completely. And the mindset that I just described is what he has implemented in the business. And now we see what Microsoft is today, and the change and the growth. So I love when I interact with students or new graduates that start their work, and they come in with, yes, of course they have a foundation, but they come asking a lot of questions. They want to know more. They understand every day is a learning opportunity for them, because that's how they really fast-track their career. Instead of thinking, oh, I have all the answer, or I don't ask questions because I might sound stupid, or they might think I don't know. And there is a role that here leadership plays. Because if the leaders is the first one say, guys, I've never done this before, what do you recommend? Or this is new, then you set the tone for everyone else to be able to ask questions and come up with ideas, and you tap into the expertise you need, even as a leader, because you don't have all the answer yourself. You cannot, thrive in AI alone or solving COVID challenge on your own. You need to tap into the expertise of your team. Even the new graduates, the students, and everyone that comes on board in the organization.
Yeah, I think that's amazingly put. And at the core of it, I think it's learning to learn. That would go a long way, right? Yes. I see a question over there. Okay, the mic is over here. Great.
Good morning, everybody. I don't have a question, just a viewpoint which I wanted to put across. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, thanks. Okay, my name is Justin. I come from India. I work with a renowned university in India known as BITS Pilani. I don't have a question. I have a point, possibly I share with everybody. Universities also have a role to play, not just a finishing school approach, but also as a partner in solving some of those industry problems. One of the area which, I think one of the panelists mentioned, it's difficult for university to create curriculum which is suitable for various industry players. There is another method which universities can adopt. Rather than teaching students who are coming, taking admission, and then go to industry, universities also can go to the industry, teach those who are in the profession, use their expertise, knowledge, formal or informal knowledge, what they gain at the workplace, synthesize that into a higher education program, and solve the problem both for industry and for the nation. I think that's a role some of the universities out there in the West and which is doing, and some of those Australian universities are also doing that. The numbers are very small, but in India, while it's known as my means of executive education, it is not that executive the way it should be. So synthesize the knowledge from the workplace and try to solve the problem what the organizations are looking for would be the key. I think that's a big role what university should play. Thank you.
I agree, and I think Mr. Sanjay is doing exactly that thing with collaborating with the industries and the universities in a way that it solves the real-world problem.
Well, I mean, that's, yeah, we're part of a very small project, so it's early days, you know. I mean, I wish it was as on as large a scale as that is, but yes, we're working with the likes of Amazon, etc., so large logistics companies, and co-developing the curriculum so that these youngsters coming out of university will be able to go into jobs and be fit for purpose. I just wanted to add something also triggered by the gentleman's remark. I think in addition to, wondering what industry needs, we need to change also the method and the mode of instruction. So what we're noticing in South Asia and Africa, parts of East Asia, culturally, we're not really designed or encouraged to raise our hands and say, I don't understand. In large parts of the world, if you raise your hands and say, I don't understand, you're asking for trouble, right? So what you do is you sit on your hands and you say, when the teacher says, did you understand everything? Yep, I did. If you look in Northern Europe, North America, et cetera, said, if somebody raises their hand saying, I don't understand, it's a sign of intelligence, and it's encouraging, oh, what didn't you understand? It leads to dialogue. It's a huge cultural difference. But by using technology, e-learning, gamification, et cetera, which is what we're doing, giving people the course material so that they can go home and replay it time and time and again. We're seeing people at 6:30, 7 in the morning pulling up the stuff. We did a program for delivery riders in Andheri, west suburb of Mumbai, and at 6:30 in the morning, they were doing their English classes. Anyone seeing that delivery rider on the road would say, oh, this kid isn't interested. We did a program in Lagos on digital literacy, financial literacy, etc. People wrote them off. People said, you're wasting your time. This is a GIZ-led program. At the end of it, these students came up, the trainees, to the instructor and say, where do I open a bank account? What type of insurance should I buy? How do I invest my money? Nobody could have predicted that that demographic of 22-year-old Nigerian boys would ask these questions. The difference was the mode of instruction. In the safety of his home, on his mobile phone, he could pull it up. So I think that's one of the big things we need to focus on as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. And the modes are evolving with thanks to technology and making education, or knowledge rather, more accessible. Justin, that's a great observation. I can share what we do at our university and some of the other universities in Australia. So we have an industry advisory group that informs us, and the industry advisory group comprises of top-level executives at top multinational companies, and they advise us on our curriculum. We take our new programs, new units, new courses to them and present it to them. They give their inputs based on what industry needs, and we adapt to them. So that's one way of doing, having a panel of experts evaluate and analyze what you're going to teach the future generation. The other thing that some of the universities have started doing is called a cooperative model. So cooperative model is where the industry partner will work with the university to develop the program together. And at some stage of the program, they will start hiring students into their companies. And that employment or internship or work integrated learning model, whatever model that is, it counts towards the units that the students are doing. So I think there is a general excitement around industries and universities to come together and work. The challenge in some of the parts is doing it at a scale. And I keep going back to scale is because I have seen it at scale at the university I'm in. So I come from a business faculty, and our business faculty has 22,000 students. So now you look at the scale and think about how do you go to industry and come out with bespoke opportunity for every student. So the pragmatic side of things is the developing skills, and the other is offering a bespoke experience. And striking that balance is a bit of a challenge, but universities are striving towards it. And it is great to see that some of the industry partners that we have, and more, are showing more interest towards bridging that gap. Yeah, thanks, Justin.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, I see a question over there. Please come up. Just wait for 1 minute.
I'll be quick. I just wanted to get involved in the conversation because that is something near and dear to our heart. We are Tucson International Academy, just a school that we have 4 schools. We work hard with the lower income families. And for that transition, for them to go through and finish their high school, plus go to college, takes like a seamless transition from school to college. Then from college to work is another transition. And so when you are coming from a family that maybe people don't even work because they're on welfare, and they have illnesses and they have situations, it's very, very complex. So I think that all the issues you guys raised, I think all of you are right. It's one of those things where different scenarios for different populations. In our case, we have a 100% guarantee that if they go through our program, we will get them accepted into college. And that will be university, or we can even help them get into like a medical assistant program for 2 years. It's all kinds of different levels of education, and all those levels are needed. But the transition is the hard thing. So I think that's a place. Maybe AI will help in the future. Maybe we can have that group mentality still. I think cohorts are a great idea. You have a cohort of future teachers, because we're a school. I'm always looking for that. You can have a cohort of entrepreneurs who are coming up with think tank ideas and getting excited about how they're going to change the world. And remember, too, the workplace is changing every day. Universities can't keep up with that. I had a student who wanted to be a mechanic, but he wanted to be a high-level mechanic. So he said, we were showing him the schools that have it. Then we interviewed some of the people from that school, and they said, yeah, it's a great school, and you'll learn the basics, but you'll still have to get further training from the organization because cars change every year. Now we're all electronic, and you're just going to have to constantly but add to that learning. But it still doesn't negate the power of college. In college, you're around other people like you who want to make a difference, who want to see the world in a more productive state, and they want to be a part of that. So I think college has a lot to offer, whether it completely seamlessly gets you the skills of the workplace. Workplace is still going to have to do things because the skill set needed is still changing. But I loved your conversation today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sure.
Just very quickly, I just want to say thank you for your contribution and obviously for the work that you do. I think that's exactly where having individuals within institutions and schools like coaches can play a significant role, because when you have someone that believes in you, often more than you believe in yourselves, can change everything. And I just want to share the story of someone who has done this at scale in a certain way, but they had a huge impact. And if any one of you wants to know more, you can find out more outside here on the right. There are the books in there. It's the story of Maria Conceição. I don't know how many of you know her. Maria is a Portuguese woman. She's based in Dubai. She started as a cleaner. She became a flight attendant at Emirates. From there, she was so good, she got selected to be part of the crew of Sheikh Mohammed, the royal family. When she went to Bangladesh, she saw the slums in Bangladesh and promised the kids and their families that she was going to take them out of poverty. A single lady, someone who looks like me physically. She dedicated her life to this. She transformed herself in an athlete. She has now 10 Guinness World Record. She was the first Portuguese woman to summit Everest. She wrote a book about this, and thanks to her vision and her belief in these kids' capabilities, more than 600 kids and family today had an education and an opportunity and have a life. 3 of them are outside here on the right. So if you're thinking about a meaningful gift for your families, for your teams, for your clients, I really want to invite you to drop by that table and grab your 10, 50, 20 copies that you can distribute to anyone that you know to share a message of hope. Because we're talking about the gap in industry and education. But education is what really opens doors and can really transform lives. So if you're keen to be inspired this Christmas, I really invite you, or come to me, ask me, but really invite you to buy something meaningful. Thank you.
Amazing. Do we have question for one more? Great. Sure.
Morning to the panel and everyone here. My name is Vijay. Well, I spoke on this very stage 2 years ago. I'm actually a former CXO. I've been a CEO for 5 years. I've been one of the people who pioneered the hiring of management trainees of Gen Zs in a growing market in China. So I don't envy the conversation. It is not an easy one. It's a very complex one. But the only perspective I like to offer, a possibility, is what I've observed. Right? I've mentored 426 Gen Zs from 2017. Right? And what I've observed is that a lot of them go back into internships or go into short immersion programs, end up being used as additional headcount in the company. So there's no learning curve. So I've spoken to universities and said, we get them to write a report, and you look at the report, it's actually a job description. Now, AI can take care of that, really. So I think there's an added complexity to the conversation raised about secondments, immersions, is to make sure that they are doing something meaningful. Now, I've sort of written about this quite fairly, and as well as shared it in my TED Talk, where I've spoken about young talent coming in with a lot of ideas. They're brilliant at sandboxing, right? I know that. I speak from experience. I led a team that was 95% Gen Zs that delivered 40% in profit and 9x customer growth, just simply by sandboxing. But what we have to do in the companies is to actually get the experience to teach these young kids to land. Because they've got great ideas. So I think this conversation is something that can go on for a long, long time. But there needs to be, I reckon, a candid deliberation between industries and the universities. And I actually welcome the teaching faculty to actually spend time with just visiting corporations. I used to do that, getting guys coming up from Malaysia, university lecturers from the business school, come in and take a look at what's really happening, because the knowledge that you learn gives you a baseline. But once you get in, it's just dynamic, right? I tell you that. It's just dynamic. So I would urge everybody to just open up yourself to possibilities, because they do work. There is no one crazy idea. But I do not envy the panel because I know I've been doing this for 3 years as a consultant and 17 years as a CXO. I very firmly believe in the young talent that's coming through. They're amazing. It's just that we just need to find the right combination that works for them, right? There's no one fixed formula. That's all I wanted to add.
Yeah, amazing insight.
Just to add to that,
Sure.
while we
Do we have time?
are asking, our teaching staff to go to the industry and get the feel of how the industry functions, at the same time, we should also urge all the professionals, including all of us on the dais here and the ones outside, that the professionals should also look at the opportunities of going to the universities. Maybe you can't deliver a complete module, but just be part of that one, one part, one learning outcome, one bit, where the professionals can get inside the classroom, give them what the industry is really functioning on. That helps them build the application to the learning that the student is desperately seeking inside his classrooms and inside his universities. So that is also another call to action which we could, do and raise through this platform, is urging professionals to go back to the universities, to the colleges where they came and passed out from, and ask them that, can I have, some guest lectures, a part of a module which I could, voluntarily be part of and deliver.
Thanks. And just to add one thing to this, and in answer to the gentleman's point, so in this program that we're part of in India, we're going to have a lot of people from industry coming in, especially women, coming in to say, this is what my career has been like over the last 10, 15, 20 years as role models for young women coming up. Because I get women coming up to me at these lectures and saying, is logistics an industry in which I can work? For me, it's a no-brainer because I actually know from experience that women are better at it than men are. But these young women, super smart at the age of 21, saying, should I get into this industry? So you do need people coming in. And to the point of apprentices getting misused, so actually lifting boxes and doing the wrong kind of work, what we're building into the app is just a rating mechanism for the students, literally the way we do this in washrooms and airports, literally the smiley faces, every 2 to 3 months to say, what is the nature of your work? Are you happy? Yes, no. So no forms, no Google Sheets, the whole caboodle, literally fill it in. So that data bottom up, we have to say, this is what somebody's actually, doing on a day-to-day basis, because it does happen. There's 600,000 young people being placed in apprenticeships in India every year. The bulk of them are probably not being used for, highly intellectual work. So this is a way of then capturing that data and intervening and going in and also blacklisting an employer and saying, sorry, you're not getting any more of our apprentices next year onwards, etc.
Yeah, amazing insight. So I'd like to summarize all the points that we mentioned since we are running out of time. So we want to make oh, you have a question? Do we have time? We don't.
Unless you give me like 10 seconds.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I'm Shruti. I'm part of, I'm a co-founder of a company called Amplia Consulting. We do similar programs for students and universities, so I just wanted to share something. We've also launched a program which aligns with the SDG goals of the UN. So tying it with important skills with AI coming in, I think human skills and life skills are very essential. So just as a, what is it from your perspective and your experience is probably 1 or 2 important skills that 17, 18-year-olds can take away from the modules we launch and we do. So what is it? Anybody can take it.
Coming from the background of AI and software development, I think, So I think like what we do, we devise a plan for the bootcamp individually. Like we try to talk them on one-on-one basis. We try to see where exactly they are right now. And based on their current condition, we try to devise a career plan for them. So we try to help them to switch the career, or if they are a fresher, we try to give them the basic knowledge one-on-one. But also, we cannot totally rely on AI. There needs to be a learning process, which is way more interpersonal, I would say. And that should help them to, if they are 17, 18, that should help them to get into the position where they can get into the industry much easier. Hope that answers the question.
Okay.
We are beyond the 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful question. So my suggestion, in respecting everyone's time, is that we can continue the conversation afterward.
Offline.
Whoever wants to ask more, get involved, participate.
Offline.
Yes, they can find us everywhere. Just mindful of time.
That's the best approach we can
Great
connect right
question.
Thank you,
after this.
folks. Thanks.
All right, so do we have time to make a final? Yeah, we should just wrap it up. We can connect one-on-one right after this talk if we have more questions. Thank you, panel members, so much for this amazing conversation, and looking forward to connect with everyone here in the member.
Thank you.
Thank you.